How's it going, guys? This is Skoks with Chicago Blackhawks Central, and I think we're all just wondering the same question: will the Hawks make one more free agent signing? Yeah, so just looking at the defensive depth, right? GMKD said that maybe we would look for one more defenseman, whether it's a right-handed defenseman or a left-handed. But the depth at left-handed defenseman, I mean, we are stacked with just younger talent also, which we want to see get an opportunity this year, whether it's Isaac Phillips, Alex Vlasic, right, or Wyatt Kaiser. So those are some young options that we can have on the back end, whether it's just for small stints or throughout the year. Jared Tenorti is also a left-handed defenseman. So there's a lot of depth there, right? But at the right-handed position, you obviously have Seth Jones, um, line one, whether he's paired up with Korchinski to start the year, or if there's Isaac Phillips, Alex Vlasic, who's going to be on that line one, right? Um, I think it's okay if either of them are on that line one with Seth Jones because he's grown since they've come in, with Coach Luke. So it's a pretty solid top four there. Connor Murphy, right, line two, he could slide right in. Nikita Zaitsev, um, I wasn't too impressed with him last year, right? He's doesn't do much. Whether it's on the defensive end, he's not very impressive. His motor is not that great, but he is a big body, and if he's staying healthy, if he plays well, then I think Coach Luke will leave him in for the time being, right? But uh, Kate GMKD, he did say that they might look at one more defenseman, right? So just looking at the RFAs first, right-handed D-man Ethan Bear. That's just, I mean, that's an interesting name to have, right? 26 years old. 61 games played last year. 3 goals, 13 assists. Just not a highly elevated role, right? I believe he was with the Hurricanes. He's been jumping teams recently, just whether it's in trade or I believe he's signed there. But he's only 26, so there is some upside there, right? If you slide him in on line two, even like with Alex Vlasic or Isaac Phillips, and then Connor Murphy gets bumped down to line three. So I think that's a pretty solid defensive rotation there, and I think it would work out. Travis Dermott, also an option, 26 years old. Caleb Jones, we let go, so we're obviously not bringing him back right now. Cal Foote, he's also a right-handed defenseman, 24 years old, only played 50 games last year, but he's a younger guy, still some upside there, and I think that's good to have. If we're not looking to, right, like make the playoffs, be fully competitive right out of the bat. I think those are some decent guys to bring in with some upside for the future, right? But there is an older option like Matt Dumba. He's right-handed, played 79 games last year, only 14 points. So I'm not sure if he was just hampered by time on ice or whether there was an injury concern. But Matt Dumb has been a solid D man for a long time. He's 28 years old, but that's he's probably looking to go to more of a contending team, right? Towards the end of his career, there, I'm not sure how much more he has left in the league right now, but it's a solid option as an RFA. And if we're looking at UFAs, there's not many options right now to sign in that middle tier to a even lower tier, right? Because we're not going to sign like Jake Gardner, right, or Patrick Nemeth. Those are guys that are mainly looking just to contend right now. But right-handed defenseman, there is one guy, Mark Pishik. He's 31. I believe he's 6'1" or 6'2". So if you want to bring him in for end of the roster type of guy, right? Just having that depth. So if someone goes down, right, then you're not calling up like Ethan Del Mastro or Nolan Allen or even Wyatt Kaiser. If he starts out in Rockford, like you're not rushing them, right? Because you want them to stick in Rockford, just like you had Isaac Phillips, Alex Vlasic down there, and I think that definitely paid off well for them in their development. And that's a big thing right now is just developing these D men because it takes a while for them to really just get into the flow of the pro level, right? Like we're all wondering about Korchinski right now, but I think he would have the speed. I think he has great passing, and I think he would be able to stick up on the roster for a little while. But obviously, development is the main priority. So just staying patient with it. And then one more position. Just I've been really hammering the point of how long is Peter Mrazek going to stay healthy, right? I mean, he has a very long history of that groin injury, and he just, I mean, he can't even play 50% of the season. So I know Joe and I covered it last week, just looking at goaltenders, right, and whether they're going to sign one, and I just can't see them sticking with Mrazek and Soderblom in net, right? Especially for the whole year because you're gonna have Drew Comesso and who's the other goalie? It's Jackson Stauber in Rockford, and I'm not sure you want to rush those guys up to the pro level right now, right? Because Stauber got a few games last year, played very well, but I don't think they're ready for him to just be that rotational guy when Mrazek goes down, right? Because he will eventually go down with an injury. I mean, his history with it is just it's not good at all. So when you say just going into the year with Mrazek and Soderblom, I just can't believe you. And if Stauber came up to the Hawks, right, uh, through injury, and then you would have to bring up like Mitchell Weeks or someone else to fill in at Rockford, and that's just rushing guys in their development, right? Uh, and personally, I'm just not very comfortable with having two young tendies in net right off the bat when Mrazek does go down, right? So there's some UFA options at net. Anton Kudobin, right? You are not looking at him again. We saw what he brings to the team, and I think his career is all but over at this point. He's 37 years old. Jonathan Bernier, 34 years old. Martin Jones, he's been getting some interest lately. Probably from some contending teams, just looking for depth, right? Because Martin Jones did play well. I believe it was with the Kraken, and he played well in spotty minutes in games where he had to fill in as a starter, and he played really well, especially with that decor in front of him. Right, I mean that helps out a lot. And Aaron Dell, I believe he did get re-signed just recently. Uh, One name super surprising right now is Alex Stalock. I mean, he played awesome last year. I mean, he was a standout player. Standout in that he's 35, and even with those concussions, he just really surprised everyone with his performance. Even with the decor that was in front of him, it wasn't very impressive, right? But Alex Stalock, I'm really surprised he doesn't have a contract yet. Maybe they do look to bring him back, but his injury concerns are also not good for the development of the young tendies, right? And it would uh, start to rush him. Dylan Wells, I believe we had him in the system last year for a little, then we ended up cutting him. So that's interesting to see. Keith Kincaid, I believe he's hurt right now, or he's on the injured list, but uh, I think you look at one or two of these names, either Keith Kincaid, if he's healthy, right? He's 33 years old. I believe he's 6'1" or 6'2", or even 6'3". So he has decent height. He's not super small. I think he would fit well. Keith Kincaid, or we can go with like Jonathan Bernier. I think those are solid options for just some depth uh, in net, right? Jonathan Bernier, 34 years old, or Keith Kincaid, 33 years old. So just having some veteran depth there, and that's great for Arvid Soderblom also, right? Just giving him tips, advice. I think that would be good for him also. So just very limited options right now, but we're just trying to fill out the roster, not looking to ball out, looking at the top free agents, but just looking for these depth guys that could really fill out the roster. I think that would be great, especially at the goaltending position. So this is Chicago Blackhawks Central, and subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and we'll catch you next time.